What is it like to experience the world through your eyes? It's a broad question.
It's a very broad question.
The fun part is seeing what you choose out of all of your experiences, what you choose to share.
The world through my eyes. There's a lot of contradictions. A lot of places where you can shift suddenly from one experience to another. And I've just been put through so many of them. Going from, places of being healthy to not, to healthy again, to having lots of money, to no money, to being loved, to being heartbroken, to being loved again. And I think it's an important thing for me to have gone through, just because what I do, it helps me to relate to people that are going through it themselves. And to be able to make those emotional connections to people, experiential connections to other people. And just watching these things unfold all over the world with all these different people, and seeing where there are patterns, and seeing where it looks like this is, from each person's perspective, completely unique and different, and no one else is going through it, and how can anyone understand what's going on in my life? And yet, while each experience is unique, there's so many other people going through similar things. And it's just sort of a harmony, I guess a harmony of chaos, you could call it. And watching each experience unfold and watching each experience transform. With the people I work with, and just seeing other people, whether it's on the news or friends or even people that I know overseas, it's fascinating. And I don't think I could ever get bored of it. But it's neat to sort of step back and not be in a place of frustration and what the hell is wrong. Because it all seems to be working towards something. It all seems to be, I don't know, I wouldn't say having a divine purpose, but a divine flow going somewhere. So that's the world for me.
What I'm fascinated with is your ability to hold that space, create that space when you're with other people. You almost surrender yourself to that person's experience, and in that allow them to experience themselves in a way that they can't with other people who have their own shit going on.
That's really all about listening. Most people don't actually listen. Even when they're in conversations, when the other person's talking, they're actually just waiting for the opportunity to talk again. They're not taking in what the other person is saying. And they try to do it. The other person will start talking about something and they'll be fascinated, but then they'll say something that'll trigger them to say, oh wait, what they just said is relevant to something I'd like to say, and now I've got the story. And at that point you've stopped listening to that person, even though you meant to, and you're just waiting for that pause, so now you can tell your story, tell your experience. And it took a while for me to get to that place where I'm just listening and present. And even now, every now and then they'll say something and it'll trigger. I'm like, ooh, I got a story, but I said, oh, let the story go, stay with them, listen. And people feel that. They know they're being heard. And it transforms people when they can actually feel and acknowledge they're being heard by someone. And they go deeper into their stories, they become more authentic. And for me, that's a great experience, just watching that person in that state really be themselves.
I think that your openness actually allows them to open up even more. You're very accepting. You're very, you don't judge people. You don't create your own stories, and you ask questions.
Well, I mean, I used to be very judgmental. There's a lot of places where I am judgmental, but it's getting to that place of not judging and just listening and being with that person. And I mean, if the whole world could get out of this place of judgment, if everyone could just be themselves for the first time in their lives, for most people, and not worry about judgment, know that that's just accepted, I mean, there'd be so much more happiness in this world. Being, the fear of judgment is what stops us in so many areas in our lives. It stops us from like trying to ask someone out. It stops us from going after that, career goal that we have. Stops. I mean, things are changing now, but I mean, it used to stop so many people from just saying things like "I'm gay," right? But these judgments are starting to fall away, and as the world picks up and sort of learns that more and more judgments fall away, and people are more accepting of all these different things, and you're seeing the transformations. You're seeing how more people are just being themselves now.
So, and having the freedom to be themselves, that's what I consider orgasmic living. It's kind of a definition right there. How is it that we can experience more freedom in our lives?
Be authentic.
Right?
Be accepting. Everyone wants to be accepted. Everyone wants to feel accepted. But you have to start accepting other people, so that it has to begin somewhere. And if you're waiting to be accepted before you're going to start accepting people, it's never going to happen. Right? You have to be the catalyst. You have to be the seed or the spark. And if we get enough people doing that, just watch what's going to grow in this planet.
Can you share a story of someone you've impacted?
I think one of the things that just sort of stands out is when I was when my body was racked with arthritis, and I'm going about trying to live a normal life and just be me and be in this cool, fun place. One of my friends, he told me one day, he's like, you've really inspired me to change a lot. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, well, I see you and I know how much pain you're in, and yet you're having this life and you're pleasant and you don't complain about it. And I see so many other people that are in pain from, whether it's a disease or it's back pain or it's, a emotional kind of pain, and they'll go on and on and on about it. And I realized I used to do that, and it would be about little things. Like, we like to sit around the water cooler at work and complain about our lives, and that seems to be this great thing to do and how everyone bonds. But when I stopped doing that and just enjoyed and appreciated my life, and like you seem to be doing with your life, it shifted everything for me. It just, we can complain, and sure, there are things going wrong in our lives, but there's so much other cool stuff going on. And when you start to focus on that, everything changes. And I'd never thought that just trying to live my life without bitching about it would be an inspiration to anyone.
You did it first for yourself.
Yeah.
And then the effects rippled outward really unexpectedly.
And, it's not like you don't bitch about your problems, because sometimes you got to let it out. But you don't do it constantly and over again into every person you meet.
They say where your mind goes, energy follows.
Yes.
And where do we choose in each moment to put our energy?
Yeah.
And that becomes our experience.
And that's it. And the stories that you talk about over and over again is the energy and the life you're creating. So you have to sit there and say, what's coming out of my mouth? What stories am I talking about? And it's neat, because if your stories are inspirational, if your stories, even if they involve struggle, but coming out the other side with some really cool experiences, effects, or results, then the people that are listening, they pick up on that. And you can affect everyone around you.
Can you give me a little bit about your story? Verbal slideshow of your life.
Verbal slideshow.
Your story, your struggle. I want to hear your struggle.
Okay, so my life was pretty good growing up. Father was a doctor, so money wasn't an issue. had some good friends. I think the only place that there was any kind of struggle was just the romantic part. But then, 22 years old, rheumatoid arthritis, and I was a student in Aikido. I was a bodybuilder. Like, movement and exercise and flow were my life, and suddenly that was all just ripped away from me. And I had to go through life suddenly skinny and unable to move and in pain and watching my body deform and spending days in bed, spending sometimes where my jaw, like, was in every joint in my body, and there'd be days where my jaw was so sore I couldn't eat and I'd be on liquids, and other times I couldn't lift up my arms, or I'd just be lying and writhing in agony in bed. And then it would go into remission, and then it would hit again, and this was my life for years and years and years. And through that, I still managed to work and get my education and go and do things. But then one day I decided that was it, like, it's got to stop. And I went over to India for this program that my father told me about, and I was in the program. And I thought it was going to be all this energy work and stuff, but it was more like talking to a psychiatrist to get me to certain awarenesses. And I finally got to this awareness that I had made myself responsible for every person that came into my life. And I didn't want to be, but I felt I needed to be. And so my solution, so that I didn't have to be, was to create this disease. And when I got to that awareness, I just made this decision saying, starting tomorrow, I'm not responsible for anyone except me. I come first. And the next morning, every symptom of arthritis was gone.
Wow.
And it was like
magic.
Unbelievable. Yeah, like magic. And it was just an incredible experience for me. Now, it doesn't mean that I was suddenly healthy and fit, because all the damage was still there. But there was no more pain, there was no more inflammation, and then I picked up my life from there. But then, just as that started to work out, I went from making well over 6 figures a year to making 0. So it's like, now we've taken care of the illness, now let's go for the financial stuff and see how he struggles that way. And for 2 years, I made 0 money and just accumulated debt and got worse and worse. And it wasn't until I got to that point where they talk about let go and let God that I said, you know what, I'm done. Whatever happens, happens. It's not like I'm giving up and just going to kill myself or anything, but it was just like, I'm going to keep doing things, but I'm just releasing all the struggle on this and all the tension and the worry. And when I did that, suddenly I get offered a job, and suddenly the money starts to flow again. And all this stuff just sort of led me down this path to finally getting to where I work with energy, and I get to these belief systems of people. And that's where I am now, is just talking to people and shifting energy and removing all the beliefs that they have that says they have to be poor, or they have to be sick, or they can never find the right person, or life has to be a struggle, or everything has to go wrong at exactly the worst time. These all come from belief systems. And when you can shift that in people, you can get results sometimes instantaneously. And I've seen that. I had a client, we had one session, and she was in a job she didn't like, with a boyfriend she didn't like, and she was just struggling, trying to figure out what to do with her life. And we got to all these awarenesses in that session. And a few months later, she was living in Costa Rica, working in a wellness center in a rainforest, and she said she'd never been happier in her entire life.
Wow.
And it's not always like that, but there are experiences like that. Sometimes it takes a whole bunch of sessions to get through the layers and layers of bad beliefs, of crap, of blocks we have in our lives. But you'll see the effects start to happen. You'll see the changes start to happen in your life. And this is so fulfilling to be doing with people. And to seeing lives actually change and people becoming happy. And like, oftentimes when people ask me, what do you do? I said, well, I make people happy. It's my job.
Wow. Amazing. So what does a typical day in your life look like?
I don't know if there is a typical day in my life.
Okay, how about yesterday?
How about yesterday? Yesterday was just fun. Yesterday was hanging out and watching some really fun movies, but I wasn't like sitting and watching. I was up and stretching and moving, and whenever there was music in the movie, I'd be dancing. And yeah, it was just a fun day like that, playing with my dog. And there's no typical thing, because I just let each day unfold as it wants to unfold. And the schedules every single day are different. And I like that because I never fall into any kind of routine. And it does make every day you wake up and you have no idea what's going to happen.
It's an adventure.
Yes.
Who is your typical client? Why do they come to you? Why do they think they're coming to you?
They're always coming to me with some sort of problem that needs to be solved. This morning, someone that hasn't got the man in her life she wants, and she wants to remove the block so that guy can appear. People that's struggling financially, people that want to get on with their careers, people that want to make better relationships with either their family or their spouses. There's so many different reasons, and there's never been a niche or a specific demographic of people that come to me. It's just whoever gets pulled to see me.
Humans.
Yes, it's just humans. And yeah, because every human's got blocks. Every human's got beliefs that are screwing them over, basically. And so you just want to get to that point where even just getting the awareness of what those are, you sit there and go, oh my God, is that what I'm doing to myself? And that alone can cause a shift and cause you to start behaving differently and have your life be that much more fulfilling.